grocery store or tossed in the trash.
Very good. Do you see a lot of recycling inside the containers?
I do,
Bags?
yes.
Oh,
I come across a lot of that.
okay, we don't want to do that, so. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can always look at our website, www.northportflorida.gov/solid waste.
Welcome to the brand new Northport Podcast Network. We're so excited to introduce you to our revamped lineup of shows, created to keep you connected, informed, and inspired about everything happening in our city.
That's right. With 3 unique shows under one network, there's something for everyone.
First up is Northport Now. Madison and I will rotate hosting this fast-paced, news-driven podcast to bring you the latest city updates, event previews, and important information, all in one quick listen.
Think of it as your weekly guide to staying.
There we go. Good evening, everybody. Today is Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. It is 6 p.m. We're in the city chambers, and I call the City Commission regular meeting to order. Commissioners present are Commissioners DeVal, Commissioners Langdon, Mayor Stokes, Vice Mayor Emmerich, Commissioner Petro. There's a quorum present for the meeting. Also present, City Manager Fletcher, Interim City Attorney Golan, City Clerk Faust, Board Specialist Lane, I believe Police Chief, can't see, Garrison, hopefully, and Fire Chief Titus. And let's see, who's going to lead the pledge? Miss Sandy, how'd you like to lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Got a motion by the Vice Mayor to approve the agenda, seconded by Commissioner Langdon. Let's vote. And that passes 5-0. City Clerk, any general public comments?
Yes. Robin San Vicente. Good evening, Commissioners. My comments are regarding the outstanding Florida Springs designation for Warm Mineral Springs. I am happy to see this agenda item finally return back to the Commission. My comments are as follows. 1, the agenda item is specifically asking for possible direction along with a discussion on the application process. We have already been down this road several times. Unfortunately, since it was pulled from the legislature, we now find ourselves back again. 2, the 2025 legislative session begins on March 4th, 2025, so I don't see how anything can really be achieved until the 2026 session. 3, do we have a legislative sponsor for a new bill, or since the old bill was paused, can it just be reopened? 4, if we look at the Commission's 2025 legislative priorities, this didn't even make the list. Why? 5, why isn't Little Start Springs also part of the discussion since it was a part of the prior resolution and Senate bill? 6, the memos attached state that the Springs is not impaired. However, current published data as of yesterday's under FDEP's implementation of the impaired water rule clearly states this is in fact considered impaired along with Little Start Creek. Additionally, there has been no regular or up-to-date water analysis and studies to clearly determine the health and state of the spring. Why? 7, due to the current ruling of Florida's First District Court of Appeals against FDEP to produce BMAP that will actually lead to springs restoration by 2038. How does that affect us in achieving the designation in a timely manner, if at all? 8, knowing that this is an extremely sensitive topic for the community, why is the agenda item almost the last item on the agenda? My hope is that this time the designation of Outstanding Florida Spring for Warm Mineral Springs and Little Start Springs will finally come to fruition. Thank you. In person, I have Valerie Oleander, followed by Debbie Black and Jill Luke.
Good evening. I am Valdi Olander, uppercase V, lowercase ALDY, uppercase O, lowercase LENDR. I am not a corporation. Question, does the corporation have the rights? I come here in peace and I am not a criminal. I have a dignity and I am instructing you to respect it. I am your boss and fair one. Stokes, I am instructing you to remove policemen off my back and let them sit here. I am not a criminal. Respect my dignity. Stop stalking and intimidating me. Obey your oath. I don't consent to your behavior. Now I'm going to talk about the preamble to the city charter. Preamble is an introductory and expressionary statement that explains that document, purpose, law, and philosophy. The objective of Northport Charter is to present in the form of the legal document a general plan of municipal government that is democratic, responds to the electorate and to the community, not to manager of the city staff, and capable of doing work of the city effectively and translating the voter's intention, not you, city manager, or the city staff, into efficient administrative action. Hello, manager or Miss Manager, as promptly and economically as possible. Is you out your duty? If yes, you in the breach of your duty. I'm talking to you five. Does the comments replace the freedom of speech here? Does the comment appear in the Florida Constitution? No. Fletcher claims that you don't answer to the we the people. Fletcher is an administrative part of the government. Federal, state, county, local government hit three branches: legislative, administrative, and judicial. He wants me to come to him and ask the question, give me answer. Who is he? You are come to the people. You come to the people to get elected. And now I have to go to him and his staff. Are we a Republican form of the government, as you claim in the Pledge of Allegiance, or it is the dictatorship? And the republic to which we stand. Really? Why don't you obey the people? Yesterday evening in Morgan Center was good indication how the public meeting should be conducted.
Thank you, sir.
Debbie Blackwell?
Good to see you. I'm Debbie Blackwell. Mother Jones was a 60-year-old advocate that was in West Virginia and Pennsylvania and stuff when the coal mines were active. And Rockefeller, Carnegie, Vanderbilt, and J.P. Morgan were making America great. But people were dying to make a living in the coal mines. So they put on red scarves to show unification, that the people stood together, they were going to make unions. And the people were from Hungary, they were the Southern blacks that came up out of slavery, they were the Italians that had immigrated in, and a lot of Italians and the Irish were also in the coal mines. And to show unification, because they're all covered in the coal dirt, they wore the red scarves, which could also come up and keep the coal dirt out of your nose and your lungs pretty much. Which leads me into, likewise, the neighbors and friends of Warm Mineral Springs have unified. As you know, we write letters, we call, we talk to you, and we talk about you. We want the outstanding Florida Springs designation. We want it. And it has great importance to the diverse functioning of the aquatic ecosystem of Northport. The spring, the slough that leads out of it, the river, and the manatees, good selling point, that come in there to keep warm. Probably yesterday and today. The springs reflect regional aquifers, conditions, and recreational opportunities for swimming, birding, caving, wildlife watching, health, wellness activities, financial benefits, as you all know. Now, fresh water is 3% of the earth, just 3%. So it's really everybody's responsibility to protect that 3%. It's serious. So the quality of life in Northport depends on safe, wise management of our water. Citizens insist on the Outstanding Springs designation application be submitted and expedited. It helps us to focus on conservation, protection, eco-heritage tourism, combines ecological and cultural aspects of everything about the Warm Mineral Springs. The history that place has to tell is amazing. And then put in your botanical garden too, with the master gardeners and people like that. It doesn't always have to cost $1 million. There are very talented people in our community that can make these things happen and would love to make them happen. Conservation, protection, management of land, natural resources, sewer line hookup integrity. I was talking to Representative Buchanan. That antiquated septic system there could make a disaster. So I'm asking you to kick it up a notch. Progress does not need to move as slow as maple syrup in January in Pennsylvania and West Virginia. The P3 was on a fast track, and the same reference can be directed to the Warm Mineral Springs. Request the Outstanding Florida Springs designation. No more lollygagging around.
Thank you.
I'm Jill Luke, and I'm here again for 6A, that Outstanding Springs designation. That was my baby a couple years ago. It was written, the bill was written, actually had a bill to it. Senator Gruters did that. We had letters, we had all of our delegations supporting it, and then it was stopped. Couldn't have, or wouldn't have stopped had the property been divided the way we thought it was initially, but it was halted. It is time to pick it back up. I was in Tallahassee already, and I'm going to really recommend to you, because all bills cease to go in on the 28th. This is the 25th. So I would encourage you to quickly get this. I don't know. There he is. I don't know if he's still got the paperwork sitting in his office. I probably have it digital, including the bill, but get everybody in motion and get that submitted before the 28th. I would also encourage you before the 28th, get in touch with our new representative, Danny Nix. He handles all of Wellland Park and the chamber side of 41. We need some parking, some angle parking along there. I would encourage you to see if you can't get a bill and maybe have Mr. Nix bring it forward to you to submit it. Ask for some appropriations to help us with that angled parking. Doesn't hurt to ask. All they can do is tell you no, and you come back again next year. But I would encourage you to put those two things in. And again, I will help you with the Outstanding Springs if you need any of that material brought forth. But you had everything in the package, and it was there and halted. So all we've got to do is easily pick it back up, but get it done before the 28th, please.
Thank you.
And that's on there.
All right. City Clerk, announcements.
The current vacancies for the following boards and committees include the Art Advisory Board, Auditor Selection Committee, Charter Review Advisory Board, Citizen Tax Oversight Committee, Community Economic Development Advisory Board, Environmental Advisory Board, Firefighters Pension Trust Fund Board of Trustees, Joint Management Advisory Board, Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, and Veterans Park Advisory Committee. Sarasota County Advisory Council vacancies include 1 resident of Northport to serve on the Citizen Advisory Committee and 1 resident of Northport to serve on the Citizen Oversight Committee for School Facility Planning. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're on to the consent agenda. City Manager, any items been pulled?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Then, City Clerk, public comments?
We have Debbie McDowell.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Debbie McDowell, and I'm here to talk about item 4N, which is the Warm Mineral Springs design. Oh my gosh, finally, we're getting closer. Progress is being made. Everybody should be celebrating. It will be exciting to see what these design plans look like when they're finally complete. Which brings me to the attachment C that says the schedule for this amendment for tasks 13 through 21, which is this amendment. It says that it is estimated to be completed within 910 days from notice to proceed. Folks, that's 2.5 years plus. That is an extraordinary amount of time to design this. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Hopefully we could get on the shtick, get this done a heck of a lot sooner than 910 days.
Thank you very much. And I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make it. I move to approve the items in the consent agenda as presented.
I've got a motion to approve the consent agenda by Commissioner Langdon, seconded by the Vice Mayor. There's nothing else to that. Let's vote. And that passes 5-0. Moving on to public hearings, ordinance first reading, ordinance A 2025-07. I'm going to need a motion to direct city clerk to read by title only. I'll move.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion to direct city clerk to read by title only by Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Langdon. Let's vote. That passes 5-0. City clerk, do us the honors.
Ordinance number 2025-07, an ordinance of the City of Northport, Florida, amending the Code of the City of Northport, Florida, Chapter 2, Article 5, Division 5, Police Officers' Pensions, providing for findings, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. City manager, your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ordinance number 2025-07 amends the code of the City of Northport, Section 2-260, benefit amounts and eligibility, and Section 2-283, deferred retirement option plan or the drop plan, so that the code is consistent with the terms of the collective bargaining agreement. Section 2-260 is amended to reflect that effective October 1st, 2024, members who elected to continue participation in the retirement system after the city joined the Florida Retirement System, FRS, will receive a $200 per month benefit supplement. Those that elected to join FRS are not eligible for this supplemental benefit. We ask that you continue ordinance number 2025-07, the second reading on March 11, 2025. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, anybody wanting to speak to this? Nothing. I'm going to close this public hearing and request a motion.
There's no public comment.
I'm sorry.
There's
Thank you.
none.
Move to continue ordinance number 2025-02 to second reading on March 11th, 2025.
Second.
I've got a motion to continue ordinance number 2025-07 to second reading on March 11th, 2025, made by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Langdon. There's nothing to that. Let us vote. That passes 5-0. On to B, ordinance 2025-08. I also need a motion to request city clerk to read by title only.
Second.
Got a motion by Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Langdon to request city clerk to read this motion by title only. Let us vote. And that passes 5-0. City clerk, do us the honor.
Ordinance number 2025-08, an ordinance of the City of Northport, Florida, amending the non-district budget for fiscal year 2024-2025 for Hurricane Ian and Hurricane Milton costs and payments from park impact fees from the West Villages Developer Agreement post-annexation in the amount of $823,398, providing for findings, providing for posting, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. City clerk, or city manager, I'm sorry, your item.
Thank you, sir. This item is amending the non-district budget for the fiscal year 2024-25 for the Hurricane Ian and Hurricane Milton costs and payments from park impact fees from the West Villagers Developer Agreement in the amount of $823,398. We ask that you approve this ordinance number 2025-08 and move to second reading on March 11, 2025. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Commissioners? Anything to this? Then I am closing this public hearing and requesting a motion.
There is no public comment.
I'm sorry, public comments.
There is none.
Then I'm closing this public hearing and requesting a motion.
Move to continue ordinance number 2025-08 to second reading on March 11th, 2025.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Langdon to continue ordinance number 2025-08, second reading on March 11th, 2025. There's nothing else to that. Let us vote. That passes 5-0. Moving on to C, ordinance number 2025-09. Need a motion to direct city clerk to read by title only.
So moved.
Got a motion by Mr. Langdon, seconded by Vice Mayor, to direct city clerk to read by title only. Let us vote. And that passes 5-0. City clerk, you're up.
Ordinance number 2025-09, an ordinance of the City of Northport, Florida, amending the non-district budget and capital improvement budget for fiscal year 2024-2025 for additional funding for price widening Phase 1 project R15 PW1 in the amount of $13,723,472, providing for findings, providing for posting, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. City manager, your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On this project, Price Boulevard widening is currently available funding, including bond funds and a $1.5 million grant from the Florida Department of Transportation, is $66,144,000, leaving a funding gap of $17,102. We are proposing that the following sources listed on the summary be used for that shortage, in addition to an item that was approved earlier today on the Road and Drainage District meeting. The tree fund of $1.590 million, transportation impact fees of $1.5 million will be transferred from the interchange road and infrastructure at Toledo Blade, and $171,812 from the interchange road infrastructure at Swinton to this price widening Phase 1. Also, surtax of $10,461,000 will be transferred as well from the projects of the sidewalk and pedestrian bridge. Also, another sidewalk and pedestrian bridge project, water control structure 114, neighborhood expansion of $7.7 million as well. The additional funding for price widening for this project is totaling today of $13,723,472. We ask that you approve ordinance number 2025-09 on first reading and continue with the second reading on March 11, 2025. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, questions and discussion? Commissioner Duval.
Yes. Widening price just has to happen. This has been, I apologize. I didn't have my speaker on. Widening price has to happen. This has been delayed long enough. Our infrastructure in this city is vital to the growth of this city, to the success of this city, to the economics of this city, to the health and wealth and happiness of the people who live in this city. Now, having said that, this $13 million plus that basically is a funding gap, and what we're talking about here is relieving that funding gap. And it will not be painless. It is not painless. Some of that money is coming from a reduction in interchange road infrastructure at Toledo Blade at 75. Some from Sumter at 75. $1,590,000 from our tree fund. I have a personal interest in that tree fund, seeing that it does not get depleted and actually gets used to maintain our tree cover. Transfer from pedestrian bridges. We're taking money out of water control structure rehab. We all know that that's important. As I said, infrastructure has to be done. We don't have that ability to borrow money at will. So sometimes we have to rob Peter to pay Paul. And that's why, even though I don't like these painful costs, I am in favor of this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Commissioner Langdon.
Thank you, Mayor. I mean, clearly, my mic is on.
There you go.
Clearly, the widening of price needs to happen. There's no question about that. But some of these projects are also very important. So I do have a question for city manager. What process or what ruler did we use to select these projects rather than other projects? What was the rationale behind this selection?
Well, Mr. Speaker, public record comes down. I would say it has to be the ones that were least impactful to the community, ones that we knew we could delay, not delete, and ensure that we move forward with Price Widening Boulevard. But I will defer to Mr. Speak.
Yes, sir. Thank
for
you.
more information.
Chuck Speed, Public Works Director. So these are projects first that we looked at because they're all very important projects. We looked to see if there was additional funding available from other sources, be it as grants, impact fees that we'll collect over the life of this project, right? This could be a long project. To touch on the interchange, the monies that came out of those interchange agreements with FDOT, we had money in those through our agreement negotiations with FDOT became fully funded. So that money came back. So that doesn't affect the timeline or the construction of those interchanges. Pedestrian bridges and sidewalks, we talked about those earlier.
Right.
So it's not the deletion of projects that are safety hazards. It's just the delay of new sidewalks and pedestrian bridges, which Price Boulevard includes sidewalk and pedestrian bridges on both sides.
Thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
That does help. Like Commissioner Duval, I'm very supportive of doing this. We have to widen price, but I do want to be confident that we're not cutting off our nose to spite our face. So I appreciate that insight. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm good.
Thank you. Commissioner Petro.
I agree with Commissioner Duval, but my question is, since we're taking the money from other projects, and the city of Northport is known for delaying projects, and I want to be a part of the solution, not part of the problem as a commission member of this board. My question is, how long do we delay those other projects to fund this project? Do we have any timeline or plan and funding for the projects that we're taking the money from?
Sure. So the water control structures, again, we're looking for grant funding for that. And we should have those answers within the next 6 months to a year through the the county and the state for those grants. We score typically very high. The water control structures do. We have a structure that's designed and ready, shovel ready, which helps us. So we're very confident that we'll get some assistance there. The other projects, which are the sidewalk and pedestrian bridges, as I said, those projects are wants more than needs in certain areas. They're filling in gaps of sidewalks. So we didn't deplete those CIP projects completely. We removed money from 2 separate projects and left money in there so we can still address any issues or still make some of those gaps based on the mobility study and our gap list, priority list for sidewalks. So it's not that we're reducing completely or deleting completely or putting on hold. We're not going to do as much work as we had initially planned. And then those projects they'll just fall into the next year as we do a sidewalk and pedestrian bridge CIP project every year. So you'll see those projects built in the next few years. Yes, sir.
Anybody else? Okay. Thought I'd forget about public comments. Any public comments?
Debbie McDowell?
Good evening again, Debbie McDowell. First, I want to thank the 3 commissioners that I met with over the past few weeks. Thank you for hearing my concerns about a developer agreement that I brought to the city manager's attention in July of 2024. To be brief, the city has met the threshold to uphold the requirement for the Heron Creek developer to install an 8-foot sidewalk and a pedestrian bridge along Price between the Walmart and Salford. Using previous projects as a guide, my guess is this developer's contractual obligation is over $1 million. Regardless of the math, every penny counts. You're postponing many projects, important projects, yet not a peep of the requirement with the developer at today's discussion about this obligation. There's not even a mention of it in the memo that the city manager gave to you guys. If it's $1 million, that's a lot of money. Please make sure you collect that money from that developer. They're required to pay it. And yes, you can withhold the certificates of occupancy, which now becomes leverage to make sure that they pay. That's how that's how vitally important those agreements are. The tree fund is not intended to be used for landscaping. Yet this proposal has $1.6 million of tree fund money to put down sod and hedges and other landscaping materials. It certainly is not going to be used to plant trees because the commission exempted trees to be planted in that project area eons ago when I first got elected. That's a lot of money for sod. The backstory on the stamped concrete, which was removed, was for safety, to keep people from driving that center lane as making it a little racetrack. Nobody likes to drive on that stamped concrete. The sidewalk that was removed, that Ponce de Leon sidewalk from Skyview to Hornbuckle, I do believe is a CDBG project. And we got funding for that. So you might want to double check on that too. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all there.
That's it. Thank you. With that, I'm going to close the public hearing, request a motion.
I'll make it. I move to continue ordinance number 2025-09 to second reading on March 11th, 2025.
Second. Got a motion by Commissioner Langdon, seconded by the Vice Mayor to continue ordinance 2025-09, second reading on March 11th, 2025. There's nothing else to that. Let us vote. That passes 5-0. Moving on to ordinance, the second reading, D, ordinance 2025-06. City Clerk, would you be kind enough to read by title only?
Ordinance number 2025-06, an ordinance of the City of Northport, Florida, amending the code of the City of Northport, Florida, Section 2-329, regarding deferred retirement option plan, providing for findings, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. City Manager, your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. During the city regular commission meeting on February the 11th, 2025, the commission continued this item, ordinance number 2025-06, to second reading as is on today, February 25th, 2025. We ask that you accept the ordinance and adopt it as presented, number 2025-06. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Commission, questions, discussions? Commissioner Duval.
Yes, on this item, this was negotiated back in July, I believe, of 2024. And this is also the same as in the fire department that was negotiated and passed. And I see no reason why we should not bring this along. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? All right, any public comments?
There is none.
And with that, I'll close this public hearing. Request a motion.
Move to adopt ordinance number 2025-06 is presented.
Second.
All righty, I have a motion by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Duval, to adopt ordinance 2025-06 as presented. Let us vote. That passes 5-0. Moving right along, general business, 6A, 25-1969. Discussion and possible direction regarding the application process for an outstanding Florida Springs designation, Warm Mineral Springs, by the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. City Manager, your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With the improvements occurring at Warm Mineral Springs since the last time this item was discussed, it is moving forward in the direction for the improvements in the future of the spring. Staff would like to discuss and receive commission direction regarding the application process for the outstanding Florida Springs designation for Warm Mineral Springs by the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. There are two hurdles that caused this item to be paused. One was the direction that was given towards Warm Mineral Springs, which has now been decided upon by this board, but there was also concern with the flow rate and water quality. Warm Mineral Springs will be subject to an assessment by the Department of Environmental Protection, pursuant to which an impairment determination would need to be made. The designation also imposes ongoing obligation for the Department of Environmental Protection to clean and maintain the spring, so we're not sure that the Department of Environmental Protection would support it. Our ask for you today is to ensure that staff continues to explore the hurdles with the Department of Environmental Protection to see if this outstanding Florida Springs designation can be attained. Since the deadline for this year is in front of us and that obligation, that hurdle from DEP still resides, we know that it will take some time in order for us to talk to DEP to get a resolution. We're asking for your direction to continue to explore that and figure out if we can get over the hurdles for DEP. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Langdon.
I just have a quick question for City Manager. I support pursuing this as aggressively as we can. Is it staff's assessment that if we go to our legislative partners without the support of other organizations like the EPA that that would severely compromise the success of this request?
Yes, I believe that is DEP.
Thank you.
Yeah, we need DEP because they are a partner in the process of the approval of it. If we don't resolve what their concerns are, it is highly unlikely that we would get that designation. We don't know if we can resolve them because we stopped when we heard of them. So we have not taken that extra step, but our development services team are more than happy to sort of follow back up with that, see if we can get past that.
So it would be our intention to be ready by the next legislative session and make this a priority?
Correct.
Great, thank you.
And just to add on to that, in addition to the speaker said, the sponsor for the bill, most likely we would reach out to Gruters, Senator Gruters, because he has been such a vocal supporter of the item.
Thank you.
I have a question. If, assuming we can address the issues with DEP, what are the costs projected that the city would incur prior to the designation being either approved or disapproved? Are there costs? I should really ask it that way. Are there costs involved in getting to that point?
We won't know, Mr. Mayor, until we actually figure out what they need us to do in order to meet their threshold.
Okay.
If you would like, which I'm sure you would, we are happy to bring back to you any costs before they are expended on said project so that you can make that decision. Okay.
Commissioner Petro.
I'm in full support of outstanding Florida Spring designation for Warm Mineral Springs. I just don't know why it's taking so long. I don't see that it's feasible to do it for this legislation session because we only have a few days left. Can we start working as soon as we can on this matter? And what are the steps to do that, practical steps, as far as the commission board? What do we have to do to make this happen as fast as we can?
We need you to approve this item and give us direction to say, go and take those steps. That's what we're asking today.
Do we know the steps?
We need to reach out to DEP and address their concerns. Once we talk to DEP, I'm pretty sure they're going to tell us how and what the pathway is to get it approved, or there are challenges with it not going to be approved.
So we, as of now, we have not reached to DEP.
In the agenda item, there was a memo attached from Todd Miles, your legislative analyst, that told you the conversation that was had with DEP, as well as conversation that was had with our development services team and DEP. It outlines the fact that they would not approve it based on what they know right now of the springs. Now, we all believe, because this has been an item that has been presented before, that there is a pathway to get it designated. We need to know what it is and talk to DEP and find how to work around the concerns to get it designated. So we're asking you tonight for that permission to go forward and take that step in the process.
Let's do it.
Anything else, commissioners? Public comments, City Clerk.
Jasmine Bowman. I strongly support pursuing the application process for outstanding Florida Springs designation for Warm Mineral Springs, since as the only warm spring in the state, it is a unique treasure as well as a valuable natural resource, and that is all.
That's it?
Yes.
All right. Well, anybody want to take a stab at this?
I will. Move to direct the city manager to pursue all avenues on finding the designation for the Springs, for the outstanding Florida Springs designation.
Second.
Do we want to give any direction as to report back? Any more specificity, or keep it that general?
Figured pursue all avenues, and then it comes back to us. I just didn't state it.
Would like to include time frame, maybe.
Make an amendment.
I don't want to miss another legislation session.
Jump into the pool.
The only problem with that is we'll be at the mercy of DEP. That's the only thing. If we try to specify a 90-day or 100-day, who knows, DEP works slower than we do.
If I may, Mayor, I think we can always ask for staff to bring back a status report at a later time. I don't think it has to be necessarily built into the motion. We might do a consensus for that, or just, ask. We can ask at any time for them to provide an update on how things are going.
Oh, and we also have our discussions up in Tallahassee coming up in March, to where we meet with our legislators, and we can go ahead and put a bug in their ear saying, hey, this is coming,
Right.
just to get their feel for it as well while we're up there. So, over the next few months, we'll get more information and know which way we're going. That's why I made it pretty vague, just to get the information and see where we're at. And I know the city manager knows that we want to know what's going on, so he can bring it back as an agenda item saying, hey, this is our update right now.
If I may, I think it was pretty clear in my conversation with the city manager that the intention is to be ready by the next legislative session to pursue it. So I interpreted that as we'll do everything we need to do to be ready. And if there are any unforeseen barriers or hurdles to that, then we'll deal with them as they're presented to us. Are you comfortable with that, Mayor?
I'm comfortable with it.
Okay.
Everybody good? We've got a motion made by Vice Mayor to direct city staff or city manager to proceed all avenues to obtain the Mineral Springs Outstanding Florida Springs designation for warm mineral springs by the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, seconded by Commissioner Langdon. And there's nothing else to it. Let's vote. And that passes 5-0. Right.
You're almost there.
Almost. We got some general public comment?
Now you got more.
One more.
Oh, I apologize. We do. There it is. B 25-1938, discussion and possible action regarding the appointment of Christine Dozie and John Perkins to the Community Economic Development Advisory Board. City Clerk, Mr. Item.
Yes, so this one, actually, since the posting of this agenda, we do now have 2 vacancies on this board. So if we could just get a motion to appoint both of them as regular members, that would be perfect.
Thank you. Commissioners? Did I not say that?
38.
He's slipping. Commissioners, any questions on this one?
Just a comment from me.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I'm relieved that there are 2 vacancies. I reviewed both of these applications, and both look like great candidates. My inclination, as we had this discussion last month, is in jump ball situations like this to go with the person who submitted their application first. But I'm really glad we don't have to make a decision. I think both candidates will be terrific additions to CDEP.
Good. Okay. With that, public comment?
There's none.
Then I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make it. Move to approve the appointment of Christine L. Doxey and John P. Perkins to serve as a regular member on the Community Economic Development Advisory Board. Board to serve a term from February 25th, 2025 through February 26th, 2028.
Second?
Got a motion by Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Langdon to approve the appointment of Christine Doxey and John Perkins to serve as regular members on the Community Economic Development Advisory Board to serve a term from February 25th, 2025 through February 26th, 2028. There's nothing to that. Let us vote. And that passes 5-0. With that, I'm looking for any general public comment.
There is none.
There is none. Holy mackerel. We are on to Commissioner Communications. Commissioner Langdon, you want to repeat what you told us the last meeting?
Absolutely. So I've decided, rather than going through all of my activities in an open meeting, that I will document, every month I will document my activities in a written report. So I will do that at the end of February, and again, ask the city clerk's office to attach my report to the agenda of our first regular meeting in March. So that's how I will proceed.
Thank you, ma'am.
You are welcome.
Commissioner DeVal.
Yes. I did attend the town hall at the Morgan Center on our referendums last night. Also yesterday, I toured our Public Works Department. Actually spent about 3 hours with the people from Public Works. I really appreciate all their input. On February 13th, I attended a meeting in Venice of the Community Action Agency Board. I toured Northport Business Park Phase 2 on February 20th. That's a Benderson development. I toured our Parks and Recreation Department also on February 20th. And I spent way too many hours reading emails. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Petro.
A little bit about tours. I forget which ones I already did because I did so many of them. But I'm really grateful for the Public Works tour. They gave me a good information and good presentation. Also did a fire department. Really thankful to them. Their time to tell me all about their operations and all the information that they had. Did a tour for the Northport Phase 2. It was really good to hear that they're gonna bring over 1,500 jobs to the city of Northport. And yesterday's town hall meeting, I really do think it was very beneficial for the community and for the public to present the questions and interact in the discussion format with the city commission and city staff. So I'm looking forward for another 2.
Thank you, sir. And Vice Mayor.
Now, you know you were supposed to memorize all that because there will be a test. No, I got nothing there.
Nothing at all?
I attended the meeting last night and I thought it went very well.
I also toured the Benderson Business Park Phase 2. It's a beautiful facility. I'm looking forward to all those new jobs and getting that space filled right up. Just a couple of calendar items. Saturday, this noon, there is a Ukrainian festival here on City Hall Green from noon to 4. That's always a good time and a good opportunity for everybody to come out and support our Ukrainian brothers and sisters. For any who want, at 10 o'clock on Saturday, I actually get to do a redo. I'm throwing out the first pitch at the Miss Northport Fastball Softball
Are you going
season
to practice
opener.
this time before?
Yeah, I'm
you
gonna
go?
get there early and do a little practicing. And you know, if I don't reach home plate, Commissioner DeVal, do not snicker, please. Anyway, other than that, that's all I have, folks. On to charter officers, city attorney,
Nothing, sir.
city manager,
Nothing, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
and city clerk. See, it's the first time in 3 shots I didn't forget you guys. And with that, it is 6:54, and I'm going to adjourn this meeting.